you to join me, Miss Ramon. So I'm going to be doing a cross-culture interview on you, Ana Ramon. For those who are viewing this, she's a junior student here at Manhattan College, happens to be from Spain. She was born and raised in the city of Barcelona and lived there for 20 years until she made the drastic decision of moving to the United States to further enhance her education. Fortunately enough, she chose to apply and was accepted into the foreign exchange program that Manhattan College offers. This interview depicts the experiences that she has had in New York thus far. Now, to start things off, I would love to know what was the first item of food you bought at any deli in the city, and what would that be?
The first thing I ever bought at a deli, it was pancakes, and that was literally
Unusual thing to buy at a deli.
That was 2 years ago when I came here for Model UN my freshman year.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's a program that Manhattan College offers.
It
here,
is.
too.
It is. I'm joining that too. It was just a deli across the street, and it was a really, really cold night. So we decided not to get anything, and next morning we just got the most American thing they had, and it was pancakes.
Okay, that's nice. Next, being an upperclassman, I said you were a junior, it must be hard staying on top of 6 classes and having a job on top of all that. What exactly is your job, and what does it entail?
I'm working with Dr. Aurora, which is the chair of the Management and Marketing Department.
Okay.
And I'm a research assistant. So basically, I have her staying on top of things, on top of classes, to conduct interviews with people, research, where to move forward. And we actually submitted applications for 2 conferences, one in Sedona, Arizona, and another one in Dublin.
Wow.
And we got accepted for both of them. So I'll be traveling with her this summer to both spots and giving talks about.
How does it feel working with a superior, especially in a setting where English isn't even your first language? Is it difficult at times?
Sometimes it is difficult just because she can be a little bit intimidating. Also, sometimes I just forget that I speak 3 languages and I just start speaking something in between both of them, which is kind of weird. But the thing that I really enjoy about this job is that actually allows me to bring my cultural background on it. Since we are doing research in 4 different countries, and one of them is Spain and another one is Mexico, so I'm also translating for her from Spanish to
That's
English.
great. That's good. Okay, next question. In terms of leniency, how do you deal with the rules set in the workplace? How does the workspace differ from your home in Barcelona?
Well, when I was president back home of student engagement, I had my own office. I actually had like 2 offices. It was
2?
weird. It was like a really big office. It was pretty weird.
Okay.
And yeah, here I'm just a research assistant, so it's not like we have an office, just that she basically just like calls my partner and I every time that she needs something, and we literally just like are sitting with her in her little small office, just working in a round table smaller than this.
So it's pretty different. I mean, you have your own office in Barcelona. Wow.
It is pretty different.
Very surprising. All right, next question. What similarities and what differences do you perceive between yourself and members of other national cultural groups in the workplace, if any? You can start off with similarities, and if there's no similarities, you can go on to differences.
I just have some, like, there's just a guy that is working with me.
Okay.
We do have a lot in common. Yeah, there's a bunch of things that we have in common.
And where's he from?
He is from New York.
Ethnicity-wise? New York?
He's
Okay,
from New York.
American.
He's an American guy. American white guy, yeah.
And there's no cultural backlash? None of that?
Sometimes there is,
Okay.
but just because he sometimes allows things that I would not allow.
Okay.
And we sometimes have fought over that. It's not such a big thing, but yeah, we understand personal relationships with people in a different way.
Okay. Very understandable. Next. What aspects of your culture or identity do you suppress or otherwise regulate at work, and why? So what from home do you utilize in the workplace that's different from everyone else in the workspace?
I think I have a pretty big understanding of everything outside this country.
Okay.
I really believe that...
Culturally speaking.
Yeah. I believe that Americans have a really narrow cultural view. Seems a lot of people that immigrated here just suppress their identities.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to bring that into the workplace.
Okay.
Every single time that there's some kind of thing that I believe that Americans just take into consideration and they say, oh, this is gonna be like that.
That's when you come in.
I'm like, maybe it's not, because actually back home it is not like that. So maybe it is here, but not there. So you should like take into account that there's more cultures involved, especially when you're doing a cross-cultural study.
More or less confrontational, and that's a great asset to have. Next question. What aspects of your culture or identity do you find useful in your work with others?
I think the Spanish, European, Latino thing is has a lot of personal relationship on it.
Okay.
So I believe that I'm more person-oriented, not as much as problem-oriented.
Great answer.
So sometimes it is difficult for me to leave the person aside and just focus on the problem that we're having.
Okay.
Because I always see that person behind the problem, which is
Problem
not
solving.
always good, but...
That's good. That's good. Let's move on to the next question. What would you consider to be very rude work behavior? Pretty self-explanatory.
Wow. I would say showing up late with a coffee.
Yes.
I would
agree.
say that if you're showing up late, you should at least not show up with a coffee.
Exactly.
Because
Because
it
that's
basically made
your
like,
time.
yeah, you're just showing that you just like decided to get a coffee over getting on time.
I couldn't agree more.
And yeah, it's just...
Great example.
Mm-mm.
Now, are there any practices that you would consider to be ethical or unethical business behavior that you don't find Americans to consider so? Such as the bringing the coffee into the workspace,
Yeah,
if there's any more.
we don't do takeaway coffee in Spain. That it's not a thing. So
Okay.
if,
Oh, that's actually a good one.
if you're actually getting coffee in Spain, you go get it and you stay wherever you're getting it. You sit down and you talk to somebody. You usually go with a coworker
Okay.
and just get a coffee.
Even the most minimal things can affect how they look at you in the workspace. Next question. Good answer.
Yo.
What challenges have you discovered in working with people from other national cultural groups? How have you worked through these challenges?
Sometimes it's really difficult for me to find the exact word of what I'm trying to say.
can
I know
imagine.
there is a word for it, but it's just difficult for me to find it right away. So sometimes I really have to explain something in depth for the other person to reach it,
Okay,
to reach the point that I'm trying to make.
understandable.
And yeah, just like a lot of explanation. in that
You're doing a
sense.
good job so far.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Good job. How would you prefer to handle conflict that may arise at work? Are you a confrontational person? Would you let it slide?
Oh my god, if it's a small thing, I would usually just confront it.
Okay,
But when there's feelings behind it involved, there's a personal relationship, I try to let it slip a little bit. And it's not always good because usually the elephant gets really big in the room and I'm just trying to ignore it and there's just no way for me to ignore it.
great answer. All right, and we're almost done. What motivates you to work harder or better?
Excuse me?
What motivates you to work harder and better?
I would say a couple of things. First of all, like the people. So people in general, like people here, like my friends, and people back home. Like just call back home and be like, hey grandma, I got a job and I'm doing this, that. She doesn't understand anything I'm saying, but it's like, oh, that's really cool. And that really motivates me.
More or less making a name for yourself
Yeah.
somewhere outside of your comfort
Mhm.
zone. That's a great answer. Last question, and this is very self-explanatory. What inspires you to stay here?
What inspires me to stay
Or
here?
more or less, what motivates you to stay here?
I think staying here, like I'm right now in the process of transferring, and staying here leaves the door really open for a future. It's just,
The American dream.
yeah, it's basically the American dream. Not that much as a job, but more like the old typical
Yeah,
house with like the kids and driving them to the school.
yeah.
That's more like my American dream, because that would never happen back home.
Hmm.
So that's the kind of life that I want for myself.
I think that's the most perfect answer you could have said. That leaves us at a halt. That has been my interview with Miss Ana Ramon from Barcelona, Spain. All I can say is I've had a pretty good sequence of answers, and I can only wish her the best in the rest of her stay at Manhattan College. Thank you.